Hey Jess,
Hey Bree.
how's your day?
It's going good. How about yours?
It's good. I can't complain. I'm excited to be off for Christmas.
Yeah. Are you taking extra days or
Yeah, girl, off. I'll be off the whole week, and then, well, of course, yeah, I'll go back on the second.
so you're off from this
January.
week until the second?
Yeah,
Dang, that's nice.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited,
I like your
but
hair too.
thank you. I had to get some braids. So now it's like my new thing to wear like during the winter time. I just get braids because I got braids last year in December too.
Mm,
And I think I'm liking that because it's, like, the holidays and stuff, a lot going on, and it's easier just to
yeah.
have your hair, like, tucked away.
Don't have to deal with it.
Mhm.
I feel
And
like
plus
that usually during the summertime.
yeah, that
I never
too.
thought about the holidays. That actually makes sense. So
Makes it so much easier, especially if you're on the go. But today's episode, we are talking about daughters separating from their moms.
yeah, I think this is an interesting topic.
It is.
Especially, like, girls being in their 20s, because I
Mhm,
feel like that's the time where people are usually coming into themselves a little bit more,
mhm.
and the dynamic is changing with their parents, so this would be
Yeah,
nice to talk about.
it is, especially when you just like, and just in general, talking about, like, mom-daughter relationships.
Mhm.
And then that extra layer of, like, because it's, like, 1 or 2 extremes most of the time, like, people do have healthy mom and daughter relationships, but then sometimes it's, like, they don't get along at all, or, like, they're joined at the hip to where it's, like, there's no
Separation.
yeah, no separation, and that's what we're mostly gonna talk about today, is that
Yeah,
end of the spectrum. Do you wanna give some background on, like, your relationship with your mom, and I'll talk about mine?
yeah.
Yeah, let's tell me about
So,
that.
I think that my mom and I have a pretty healthy relationship. Um, I feel like the dynamics can be kinda different depending on if you're, like, the only daughter in the house versus having, sisters and stuff, but
Mhm,
me being, like, the only girl, I grew up in a home with 2 older brothers, so it was, like, me and my mom. Of course, it wasn't like we were, like, oh, besties all the time, but I think
mhm,
that we had, like, a really close relationship being that we were the only 2 in the house, and I didn't have a sister or anyone like that to always go to. Um,
mhm.
so I feel like our relationship, we were pretty close as I was growing up, but I do think like, we had the type of relationship where a lot of times, like, if you were gonna see my mom, I was gonna be right there with her.
Yeah.
And I think as I've gotten older, though, even I'd probably say, like, middle school, going into high school, that's kinda when I kinda separated a little bit, not like that we didn't have a relationship, but, you were kinda doing more of your own thing versus just being around your mom all the time. But I
Yeah.
think the most that I can remember as far as, like, when our dynamic changed, it really changed when I went to college because it was like you weren't around your mom all the time, you couldn't always get a hold of her as easily, and, yeah, so that's a little background.
Yeah. I feel like, well, I feel like me and mom have a great relationship now. Growing up, I feel like I don't know. It was like a point in time, honestly, growing up, but I felt like I was nervous, like, get in trouble around my mom for, like, a period of time. I think it
Really?
was probably, like, in middle school. Oh gosh.
Mhm.
It was probably, like, in middle school. I don't know why, but it was just like that fear came into me, like, "You better behave."
I was gonna ask you, like, what type of fear was it, like you didn't wanna do the wrong thing?
Yeah, just don't wanna get in trouble or, like,
Mhm.
I don't know, just be on our good side, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
That's
like, it was I think it was, like, in middle school, and then after that, I feel like well, a little background, my mom had me young,
Mhm.
so when I think about it now, we were kinda growing up together a little bit.
Right, right, right.
She had me really young. So, I feel like I've kinda seen my mom evolve in life. Like, I can think about certain points of my life and how she's changed and evolved,
Mhm,
not only as
mhm.
my mom, but just seeing her interact with other people.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like we got pretty close kinda in high school, we got closer, and
yeah.
then probably, like, the end of high school, especially when I moved, 'cause it was like I didn't have nobody but my mom, my dad, and my brother. So I
When you
got
moved in
closer.
high school?
Yeah, when we moved,
Okay.
it was my sophomore year or my junior, it was my junior year we moved, and so that's when I feel like I got closer to my mom because I just was talking to her more and hanging out with her more, and
Yeah,
then when I went away to college, I feel like we weren't as close because I was in college, then I had moved back home, still in college. But yeah, the last years we've gotten a lot closer, especially when I got pregnant with my son.
mhm.
Yeah, so
I
I feel
feel
like
like that's Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I feel like that made us, like, more because that was when I think the separation happened because it was like I was having my son and we just our
Mhm.
relationship kinda went to a different level where it was like, I don't know, I don't know how she feels, but I looked at her like my friend. Like, she's still my
Yeah,
mom, but I looked at her like my friend.
yeah. I was gonna say something
I'm sorry.
to a point that you made. It's okay. Um, I think okay, yeah, but I was gonna say I think that's a pretty common thing that as we get older, our relationships with our moms, at least those that kind of didn't feel like you were that close, but, like,
Mhm.
as you get older, I feel like the relationships get better.
Yeah,
If if that's something that you actually desire, because some people
yeah. Some people don't. They
yeah,
don't care.
mhm,
And some people, I feel like it gets worse.
yeah. And to something else that you said, how you said your mom had you young and you kind of feel like you got to see her evolve and stuff, and I think
Mhm,
that I've heard someone say before how siblings get different versions of their parents depending on, like, when they had them, which is kinda
mhm,
crazy.
mhm.
Because my older brother, my mom was 21 when she had him versus when she had me, she was 27.
Yeah,
And so, like, through that, it's like we both got different versions of our parents, which is interesting to think about. Because I think that also plays a part in how sometimes the, like, relationships and the dynamics, like, you could have a certain type of relationship with your mom versus, like, maybe the relationship that if you had a sister, how she would have with your mom,
mm.
depending on, like, the age that she had you.
Yeah, that is so true. Because I think about like, I had my son at 25, but if I had him at 20, I don't know if I'd be the same mom.
Right.
Because as you grow, like, you learn different things in life, and I think that plays a part too in, like, the way moms parent their daughters.
Mhm.
So, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
I also feel like another thing that plays a part is probably the relationship that they had with their mom.
Yeah.
'Cause how you said, like, there's usually 2 end of the spectrums, and I feel like it's also like that with, like, how people choose to parent. Because it's
Mhm,
either I hated the way that I grew up in the relationship with I had with my mom, so they try to do the exact opposite or, the other way.
mhm.
So
Yeah. It's so that makes me think, like, how do you get to that point where it's, like, the separation period? So you enter into adulthood, right? And now
mhm,
it's like, "Okay, you're still my mom, but now I'm an adult, so I can kinda make my own decisions, and I know you're
mhm,
used to, like, holding my hand and, like, maybe making most decisions for me."
mhm.
How do you think, like, as a young 20-year-old, you navigate, like, "This is still my mom, but I'm still an adult?"
Ooh, it's hard. I feel like it's hard depending on I say it's hard depending on the parent, because at least
Mhm,
for me, speaking for myself, I feel like my mom gave me uh she created a good environment for me to be able to kind of like separate and make those decisions for myself just because I feel like there were times where I would go to her and I would ask her something and it wasn't like she would just give me an answer. It was more of like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And I think that kinda helped at least that helped me to kind of be able to make decisions for myself versus always relying on her, which
Mhm.
kinda sucks at sometimes because sometimes you just want
Yeah.
sometimes you just want them to tell you what to do, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. What about you?
I've always felt like, honestly, even when I was younger, like my mom, like a lot of things she would like tell me, but a lot of the time she wouldn't like say anything. Like
Mhm.
if I was talking to her about certain things or like asking advice on certain things, she never just always just gave me a straight answer. It was just kind of like, well, this is what would be probably better, or this is maybe what I would do, or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, so
Mhm.
what should I do? And it was just like, you gotta figure that out.
But do you think that's a good thing though? Because I could kinda see the positive to that.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a good thing. Now when I look back on it, yeah, cause like, even some things, like, I would talk to her about, like, with past friendships growing up or just, like, decisions making, like, going to college and stuff like that, like, she just like, looking back, I knew she had her thoughts and her opinions on it,
Mhm.
but she would never just tell me, like, "Do this, do that." It was
Yeah.
just kinda, like, talking through it and then, like, pray about it, "What do you think will be better?" I don't know. Even in relationships, when I think about, like, dating relationships and I talk to her about it, she wouldn't tell me how she felt till after. And I'm like, "Why you didn't say nothing before?" Like, sometimes she would make comments, but
Mhm.
it wasn't just, like, directly like, "Oh, you shouldn't be with that person," you know?
Yeah. I
Unless
feel
she really
like
just felt that way.
yeah. I feel like that was, like I don't know, I don't know the mind of your mom, but I feel like that's a good way to help people navigate, especially
Yeah.
because, like, our parents are here to help, like, nurture us and, like, give us counsel and stuff, but
Mhm.
I think that was a good way to, like, allow you to figure it out on your own without, like, just throwing you out there to do it by yourself.
Mhm.
Because when your parents make every single decision for you and getting to the point where it's like, how do you kinda, like, figure out that balance of when can I separate from what my parents think or not? It's kinda like it shouldn't be a hard shift when they've kinda allowed you to kinda think for yourself
Yeah.
already. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. But even in that, I feel like, at least for me, you still kinda struggle with that approval on certain things, like
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That is
like, it's like,
true.
"What do you think about it?" Because I wanna know, like,
Yeah.
do you approve? Do you think that's okay? Do you not approve? Like,
Mhm.
so even in separating, I feel like as a child, you just always kinda look for that approval with
Mhm.
certain decisions,
Yeah, that is true.
which is a
Uh,
burden. It's just
but
like, why?
I think to this day, like, even though I do make decisions for myself, I feel like there is a part of me that deep down that still wants my mom to be like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud I'm I'm proud of you. That was a good
Yeah.
choice that you made."
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel like it's just innate, like, you just unconsciously
Mhm.
you want that approval. And that could be why, like, some women have a hard time separating from their relationship with their mom, because I do
Mhm.
know some women who I feel like kinda their relationship with their mom is holding them back in life, because it's like you
Mhm.
want her approval for everything, and then their moms are kinda too, like, hands-on in their adult
Yeah.
life, and so it's like, that's odd. You can't make no decisions, like,
Yeah. What why do you think though, like, people are like that? Like
I don't know. I guess it goes back to, like, what you were saying, like, growing up, like, how their mom handled them, like, cause I heard a quote today actually that I think is a great quote. I
Mhm.
am sh she said, "I'm training them to be adults, but raising kids." It was something like that she said, pretty much
Mhm.
saying, like, I'm preparing them for the real world and for life, but I realize that I'm raising kids, so I'm dealing with them on their level at each stage
Yeah.
in life, and I thought that
Mhm.
was like, wow, that's a good way to put that, and so I feel
Yeah,
like some parents may not realize that. I even have to try to remember that with raising my son, like, I'm raising him to be a grown man one day, to have his own family and own kids and provide for them and just have the integrity and character of, like, a grown man, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
so, of course, I still do things on his level, but like, even when he's rough with me when we're playing, I'm like, "I'm a girl." Like, you have to remember, you be gentle with girls, and I tell him that all the time, "You're gentle with girls."
Yeah,
So I feel like that's probably why, like, it starts young. So
it
if your
does start
parent has
young.
always had their hand on everything you've done, it's probably hard to, like, separate from that as
Separate.
you get older.
Mhm. Yeah. 'Cause I've heard people say that, like, they have to completely move out. I've seen people say they've gotta, like, go to a whole 'nother state just to for their parents to not have a hold on them or
Mhm.
for their mom, because 'cause we're talking about mother-daughter relationships.
Yeah.
And, what was something else? Like, some mothers just feeling like their daughters or so, like, owe them so much.
Yeah.
Which is wild because granted, like, yeah, it is your parent, but you are an individual. And I don't know, I just don't have that mindset that, like, of course, like, you respect your parents and you try not to do anything that's disrespectful or anything, but, like, at the end of the day, you're your own person.
True. And I what makes me think about it, because I was in a group. It was a young adults group, and someone had brought up we were talking about boundaries, and someone had brought up, like, boundaries with her parents and
Mhm,
how, she doesn't live with them, but they're still all in her business, and they still expect her to do things a certain way and all this stuff like that. And I have been, like, dealing with this, like, the last year, because 'cause I've been feeling like, okay, if we talk about, like, our relationship with God, right? Like, you
mhm,
have to have your own relationship with God. You can't go off of your mom's relationship with God. And so in that, you may hear certain things about your life from God, because He's gonna talk to you about your life
mhm.
that your mom God didn't tell her that because it's
Yeah,
your life, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So, I feel like for a lot of people, sometimes it can have you, like, held back in life because you're so focused on, like, your mom's approval or, like, what she may want or, doing things according to how you feel like she wants them to do it, like that girl was talking about, that
yeah,
you lose sight of, like, you have your own purpose in life, and
mhm,
you have to make sure you're in a clear space to where you can directly hear from God concerning your own life and what it is
mhm.
that you should be doing. 'Cause, like,
Yeah,
I love my son to death. I know we're talking about moms and daughters, but, like, I have a son. So, I love him to death, but, like, when it gets to a certain point in life where he has to make his own decisions about certain things, like, I'm gonna have to remember, like, can't tell him what to do with his life.
yeah, yeah. It's really like a personal work that that you have to do to be able to get to the point where it's like, "No, it's not what my mom thinks that I should do." Um, like, you're not really, like, obligated to your parents. Yes, in some way, you still have to show up for them, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, I don't feel like you're, like, obligated to them. And I feel like
Yeah.
I've just gotten to a point where it just makes sense that, your parents have made or your mom, your mom has made decisions for her life, right? And the
Mhm.
decisions that she's made has, like, placed her wherever she is at this point, and it's like, those decisions she made, those are the decisions that she had to live with, and it's like, every decision that I make, it's not my mom that's gonna have to live with it at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
me. So it's
Yeah.
like, you just gotta get to the point where it's like, what's more important? Me making this decision for my mom, and God forbid, like, you want your parents to be on earth for as long as you're here, really, but,
Mhm.
that's just not how it works out, but you end up living with the choice that your parents made for you, and then your parents are no longer here to, like, have to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like that's something that you have to deal with. So I've just gotten to the point where it's like, yes, I respect my mom, and of course I want to like I still go to her for advice, and I still like weigh it at the end of the day, but it's my life.
Yeah.
And I say that in the most respectful
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, of course. So how do you think like, what would be a good way to navigate the separation into, like, adulthood?
Um, I think honest communication, really, because and just like being able to like hear your parents out, hear your mom out because because I honestly feel like that is the best way because if you can like have open, sincere communication, like if you feel like your mom has too much input, right? If you
Mhm.
can have like an open, sincere conversation with her about it, and if you guys walk away and you feel like, hey, like she just didn't really respect like what I said or how I felt, then it comes where you just have to put those boundaries up. And then I also feel like it's okay if like you don't have to tell your parents everything.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
had to
mean?
learn
Like
that. Yeah.
like like you can make a decision
Mhm.
without telling your parent if that decision has nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Like if it's not going to affect them. So it's like that's a way to help you navigate it really because they don't have to have a say in everything. Yes,
Yeah.
if it's something that you, like, want them to know or it's something that you need advice on or, you're just trying to get wise counsel, that's one thing, but it's a different thing if you wanna make this decision on your own and you're trying to figure out how to navigate it with them, but maybe it's something that you just really don't need their
Yeah.
input on,
Yeah.
and that's okay for you to make that decision if you are an adult.
Mhm. And I feel that like I said before, like, holding you back in life, that really can hold you back in life because I seen, a video of a girl who was, like she was in, like, a Q&A with her mom, and they were talking about her dating life, and her mom was just
Mhm,
saying, like, how she didn't like some guy or whatever, and it was just like, "Okay, you can have your opinion about that, that's cool," but you could tell, like, the daughter she was, like, hanging on to every word her mom was saying, you know, and so it was just like, it's okay, like, to take the advice, but I feel like you have to know when to separate, like, this
mhm,
is just advice, and that's what it is,
mhm.
and not like, "Oh, this is what you need to do." Like, no, it's
Yeah,
advice, you take it into consideration, but you still have to do what's meaningful for your life and what's necessary to get you to where you
mhm.
wanna be, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
I mean, don't be no fool, because obviously your mom can see some things that you can't, so sometimes,
Right,
the
right.
person may not be for you. Certain decisions is like, "Okay, you about to jump off a cliff, let me help you."
Yes.
But in some situations, like, you can make your own decision.
Mhm. Like, w some things is just really like, some things just really doesn't like, I don't need to call my mom to ask her what should I eat for dinner
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, exactly.
And it's the little things. I feel like it's the little things where you just stop. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like, let me just handle this on my own, and
mhm.
I won't call my mom for this, or I won't
Yeah,
call my mom for that, and if you just start little, it'll help you go along and not have to, like, feel like you have to ask them all the time for the big inputs when it's not really, like, needed or necessary. You know what I mean?
right, right.
But
Yeah, especially I feel like especially when it comes to, in some instance, relationships, career, um, just lifestyle. Because sometimes, like, where you may wanna live or
mhm.
I don't know, what you
Yeah.
wanna do for a living, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, this game, it's similar to the last game we had did before, friend or foe,
Mhm.
but this one is with mom or daughter relationships, and it's just like crossing the line or you're safe. So I'm just gonna read off some scenarios, and you just say like, "Is the mom crossing the line or is that safe?"
Okay.
Your mom giving dating advice.
That's safe.
Yeah, that's safe and in the right limitations. It's safe. Just
Right.
advice. It's
Advice.
safe.
I mean, you
Yeah.
still get to decide at the end of the day.
Right. Your mom tries to plan your whole wedding.
Uh, no,
Yes. Cross the boundary.
cross the boundary.
Yeah, I've seen some shows where, like, moms do that, like, they take over and they're trying to,
Yeah.
like, pick the colors and the dessert and
Mm,
flowers, and it's like, "Is this your
mm.
wedding or
Are
her?"
you the event planner?
Right. Um, your mom voices every opinion about your life. Voices every opinion she has concerning your life.
Um, what was it? What were the options?
Your mom voices every
No, no,
opinion.
no, you say yes or no. I mean, it's not
Oh,
you.
yeah, yeah, crossing a boundary or it's safe, like, it's okay.
I think that could be crossing a boundary. Um, and I say that just because I feel like sometimes we have to read the room. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I think sometimes we just have to be a little considerate of
yeah,
our opinions,
yeah.
you know? Because I've had times where I'm like, "Mom, you coulda just I would have rather you not have said that because
Yeah,
now I feel like you made the situation worse than what it
yeah,
was."
mhm.
Um, so
I can see it. Yeah, I feel like that's crossing a boundary. 'Cause that's even, like, any type of relationship, really. You can have opinions about certain things, but everything, you don't have to voice it.
yeah. That
Your mom.
recently happened to me with my
Oh,
mom.
really? Really? How fitting.
And I'm like, it was like one of those, like, "You better than me," and I hate I literally hate when people say that
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's like, I understand, like, the phrase,
yeah,
but it's like, what do you mean?
yeah,
Like, what do
yeah,
you
I get it.
mean I'm better than you? Because, like, you don't think the decision that I made was good?
Yeah, that's how I take it. Like, I wouldn't
Like,
have did that, but
yeah,
okay.
I do not like that, but my mom said that to me recently about a situation, and it just
Yeah.
sent me somewhere else. And yeah.
I love it. Your mom makes you feel bad if you don't do what she suggests.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's crossing boundaries.
That's crossing a boundary.
Yeah.
That's that one what the parents feeling like you just need to do everything that they say.
Mhm.
Mm.
For sure. Um, your mom doesn't like your partner and makes it very known.
I think that's crossing a boundary. I think it's a little like okay, is she making it very known in front of him or, like, to me?
Oh, I don't know. I guess just to you.
I mean, I guess that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
she can s voice her opinion.
Yeah. I don't mind voicing the opinion. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's safe. But if it's like in front of the person, then I guess ooh, that's too
Yeah,
much.
I feel like if it's in front of the person, it's a little disrespectful.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, last one. Your mom gives motherly advice on life situations.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You want advice. I feel like don't see me like about to run into a car and not say anything. So yeah,
Right,
give
yeah.
advice on
Yeah,
things, you know? I feel
that's
like it's
true.
good also in that I feel like it's good to know when to take advice for being just that. Because sometimes we can
Mhm.
be sensitive and you don't want to be too sensitive to where it's like you don't want them to say anything, but it's like they got to speak up on certain things because they want the
Right.
best, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like at this point, do you feel like your mom, like, volunteers advice a lot or at all?
Mm, I don't know. I never thought about that. Volunteers advice. I know that sometimes she'll just like if I'm talking about certain things, she'll tell me like what she's done or like experiences
Yeah,
she's had.
yeah,
But just volunteering advice, I don't know. I never really paid attention.
yeah. I don't feel like my mom really does. No. I do find myself going to her for advice a lot,
Mhm.
um, but not volunteering. Yeah.
Yeah, no. What is one thing that we would, I guess, maybe tell our adult self when it comes to having a relationship with our parent.
Oh, tell our adult self?
Mhm.
Hmm. Ooh, I think one thing is realizing that our parents are our parents, but they're also, like, people that have had their own journeys. They're not perfect, and, like, even, like, going a little bit even more into it, I feel like our parents there's a possibility that our parents have gone through a lot growing up and stuff, and maybe not were, like, in this space and open like how it is now for, like, to even, like, get help when they've needed or, like, go into therapy, and I feel like sometimes our parents can even have, like, unresolved traumas and stuff, and that has, like, gone into the way that they've parented, and I think sometimes we just kinda have to have a little grace when it comes to, like, our view of our parents because we can think that our parents are, like, on this, like, high pedestal sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but your mom is a woman that."
Yeah. I agree. I was gonna say the same thing, which
Yeah.
would be mines would be to remember, like, your mom is a human just like
Mhm.
you, and I think
Yeah.
I realized that more after I had my son. Like,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, well, I feel like once you take them off of like, of course, you honor your parents, but once you take your mom off of that pedestal and realize, like, she's a human woman just like you who has to
Mhm.
learn and experience things, and she probably has past traumas, past hurts, past situations that she's
Yeah.
dealt with and is still dealing with while trying to be a parent. Once you realize that and you have that grace for your mom, I feel like that helps your relationship as well because you have to
Yeah.
remember because sometimes we can think like, "Oh, that's my mom, like, she could do no wrong, like, she should just be perfect, she should just have it together, like, how
Yeah.
could you offend me that way? How could you do this? How could you do that?" But, I mean, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. They are doing the best that they can, so I would tell myself that.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah, that I
was
feel like that's great advice.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have anything else.
No, that was good. I
Okay.
literally would say the same thing.
Oh, thank you all so much for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Bye. Where you going, sweetie? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as head on over to our lovely TikTok at CuteConvos and don't forget to follow. See you next time.